Going to the gym isn't actually a particular passion of mine. I do enjoy training, and most of all, I think it's worth doing. But for me, and I expect for a lot of you, getting and staying in shape is really just one small part of what I'd consider to be a well-rounded existence. What I do enjoy, and what I'd like to help other people with in this video, is improving the cost-benefit ratio of my training and diet. In other words, trying to make it as easy as possible to get the best results possible, naturally, obviously. And there are two parts to this. First, there's the science of what we know to be the most effective training and dietary protocols for building muscle and or losing fat. And then, just as important but often overlooked, there's the art of applying that science to your own circumstances in a way that's going to be least intrusive, most convenient and practical, and that ultimately leads to the greatest sustained consistency. I mean, technically, even applying the science could be viewed as a science. I just, prefer not to view and describe everything that way, lest I become enveloped by a wave of creeping melancholy. Nay, apathy. Anyway, today I want to go through some of the things that I do that help me stay in shape without feeling like gym is life, because gym is just small parts of life. Number one, check your eyebrows, like, it's just not going wild, mate, because they do go wild. Number one, prioritize the proven. These aren't in order, but I'm starting with this one because I know some of you won't make it through the video, and this is the most important point. It's just basic common sense, but in today's world of social media hype, it's not that common, is it? It's endangered sense, mate. It's like numbers are dwindling sense, not being spotted in 7 years. What I mean when I say prioritize the proven is that for me to do something, I really want to see a solid body of evidence that it actually works. I won't suddenly alter my routine based off the back of one study, because although one study is better than 0 studies, and that thing might well work, I don't do things that might work. Part of improving the cost-benefit ratio is only doing things that definitely work. Let me run through some quick examples. Right? I take creatine because the body of evidence is incontrovertible. I don't take glutamine because, despite its popularity, there's really no evidence to support any positive effects outside of some quite specific use cases. I take ashwagandha because, on balance, I think the evidence for positive outcomes that I'm interested in is good. I don't take collagen because, on balance, I think the evidence for positive outcomes I'm interested in is not good. It's not just supplements, right? I do red light therapy because good evidence. I don't implement scheduled deload weeks into my training because not good evidence. I don't get ice baths because, well, I just really don't want to be honest. I don't really like the cold. But also, contrary to popular opinion, isn't really good evidence that they help with the recovery. You get the idea. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't try stuff. If you want to spend money and time speculatively, that's entirely your prerogative. You don't have to exclusively stick to what's proven. I'm just saying, prioritize what's proven. Self-regulate rest days. Now, for most aspects of training and diet, routine is a good thing, but it can be limiting if you're too rigidly stuck to it. I have a 1-year-old, right? Sometimes he sleeps through the night. Other times he decides to wake up at 4 a.m. and begin a reign of what can only be described as tyranny, right? On such occasions, my sleep is somewhat suboptimal. Now, if I had rigid training and rest days, I'd sometimes end up training on days where my workout is going to feel much harder, yet still be likely to produce worse results, or vice versa. I'd end up resting on days when I could have had a really good session. And this is quite obviously not a good way to get the best ROI for the effort you put in, and therefore the opposite of what I want. Now, I understand that this requires a level of flexibility not everyone has, right? If you can only train on specific days, then you've got no choice. There's no point lamenting it, right? But if you do have a choice, you need to make that choice work for you. And this doesn't have to be related to sleep necessarily, and therefore performance and recovery. It might just be based on sheer convenience. If, for instance, life just decides to throw some chaos at you one day and it's harder to make it to the gym. Now, essentially saying, if it's inconvenient to go to the gym, don't go, isn't exactly the motivational spiel that we're used to, right? No one's jumping off the couch when they hear that, right? But I don't really care about being motivational. I care about being practical. I don't care if you feel hyped now to go hit a PB on bench press, right? I care about if you got results like 5 or 10 years down the line. I mean, I don't actually care that much, but it is the goal of the video. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to help, but I'm still quite indifferent to whether you make gains or not. Just so we're clear, like, we're acquaintances, not for I'm only messing. All right, number 3, home workouts. Now, I'm not quite so out of touch as to think that everyone can just build a home gym and kit out with thousands of pounds worth of equipment. But I also know that a lot of my long-term audience are roughly my age. They do own their own homes. They might have a garage or a garden shed or a basement where they can stick a bench and some dumbbells. Even if you can just get a pull-up bar and some parallettes to do push-ups, which most people realistically could, I think that's worth doing. The convenience of being able to do something, some kind of training at home is unparalleled, and you don't need a lot of equipment for it. Now, it won't be the same as what you could do in a fully equipped gym, but you can still build muscle with pull-ups, push-ups, split squats, etc. And you don't have to replace your gym workouts. The main benefit is that on occasions where nothing was possible, now something is possible. We've created something from nothing, right? If previously you needed 2 hours to commute to the gym, do your workout and get back, in that case, 1 hour was of zero use to you, right? You needed the full 2 to get anything out of it. If you can do something at home, some kind of training, then even with a spare 30 minutes, you can get something done. Ergo, we have created potential where there was none. Obviously, if you do have a bit more of a budget and some space to work with, I've quite a few videos about building a home gym that might be useful, which I'll link below. Also, more than happy to answer questions in the comments. Number 4, plan and automate. Everything you do has 2 costs with respect to your time and energy. There's doing the thing, and then there's thinking about doing the thing, and both can be quite taxing. Of course, some amount of thinking about the thing is necessary, right? But my worry is how much wasted energy goes into overthinking about the thing. I say, first, decide on those things that aren't particularly consequential and stick to your decision. If it's not obvious whether you should bulk or cut first, it probably doesn't matter, so choose any. If the training split allows for similar volume spread over 2 or more sessions, it's probably going to be similarly effective, so choose any. In any instance where it's reasonable to choose any, just choose any. Like, just flip a coin, throw a dart. Don't just go throwing darts around, man. Not if there's people in the room anyway, but you know what I'm saying. Random's fine if it doesn't matter. Next, plan anything you can to reduce your daily decisions. Follow a program so you don't have to make up your workout every day, meal prep so you don't have to decide what to have for lunch every day, etc. Right? Finally, automate anything you can. I track my lifts in my app, which applies progressive overload for me, so I don't have to think about it. I track my weight on a smart scale, so I don't have to be typing weights down, making Excel charts, mate, to see trends and stuff. You know, stuff like that. I have my coffee beans on subscription, you know what I mean? Did I say subscription then, or did I just say a noise? Subscription. All that just means that I'm pretty much on autopilot and I don't have to spend much time deliberating over daily decisions. If I get bored of my program, just make a new one. But apart from that, I'm just going through the motions, right? It ain't sexy, but like, I'm a 34-year-old natty king, man. Do you know what I mean? How'd you get this reason? Because it was easy. 5, maximize recovery. Now, of course, you create the stimulus, the signal to build muscle whilst you're training. And that's the hard part because it requires physical effort, time, etc. That's the cost side of the equation. But I also want to make sure I get the maximum return or benefit from that, which is something that it's not solely affected by what you do inside the gym. In other words, if we do 4 sets on bench press, we want to make the most gains possible from those 4 sets, which means maximizing growth and recovery. Now, that's some simple stuff that most people are probably already doing. Get enough protein, fat, calories, and micronutrients over the course of each day. Try to get enough sleep. Try being the operative word for those of us with young children. Limit alcohol, or at least avoid binge drinking. And then there are some maybe less obvious things, right? If you're doing cardio to burn calories, not just for a fitness goal, then choose something with a lower intensity because higher intensity equals higher recovery cost. If you can, try to space your rest days evenly throughout the week. If you're training the same muscle on consecutive days, which can sometimes be the case with full body splits, that's fine, but limit your volume on each of those days and work in a reasonable proximity to failure, etc, etc. All right, these are the 5 main things that I do to try and get the best return for the effort I put in. And the reason I try to make things as easy as possible isn't because I'm lazy. I am lazy, but that's a separate issue. It's because I believe that easy things have the best chance of becoming consistent things. And you will know by now, if you watched a few of my videos, that the value I place on consistency is actually a fair bit above the value I place on what might be theoretically the most optimal approach in lab conditions. I'm going to say that again. The value I place on consistency, I can't remember what I said now, is a fair bit above the value I place on what might be theoretically the most optimal approach in lab conditions. Now, I'm certainly not anti-science. I don't deny the value of new research that comes out. That's great. I like the idea that more studies are being done. People can be better informed. I'm just personally happy to wait until there's actual strong consensus before introducing things into my routine, particularly if those things take effort. I'd actually class that as a scientific approach. You, of course, You have your own independent judgment. You can use that. Anyway, hope the video was helpful. See you later. Bye.
Joey Lenny is my hero.